and welcome to the Place of Wrath and Tears. We are a cult Divinity Lost. Sometimes live action, sometimes pre-recorded actual play, where three lovely people playing three terrible people navigate a rapidly darkening and mutating version of our world. We are in a good place, I think. And so what we are going to do is we're going to hop right into it. So because it is Father's Day and I am a father, we are going to be being a little bit short tonight because Father's Day, and I can, and I want to. So sorry, not sorry. So yeah. So let us begin. At the end of last game, a thing that looked like a young child ran and was silhouetted by light and said, "I know who you are. You killed me." So what I'd like to do is go around the square and just give me just your very brief, what flavor of "oh fuck" hit when the angel trapped in a human body says that it knows it was you that killed them. Elon, do you have a response?
Is it what Matthew's oh shit was or Elon's oh shit was?
You know, whatever makes you happy, dude.
I would say it's more of a out of character. It's definitely an excitement. In character, it's this is the conversation we're having earlier than I expected.
Okay. So, Kate.
Kate is also very excited, mostly because, yes, correct. Go see Malice. Bethany's is not quite a to right, you little shit we did, but in that vein, without letting a child know that you have thought that thought.
Fair enough.
That's the vibe. The to the other adults is, in a you very deserved it way.
All right. Erica, how you feeling?
Clara and Erica are both very ready for this, and Clara is immediately slightly stepping forward and doing the geometrical math of, if you try to kill my siblings again, I will get between you all and I will make certain it doesn't happen. So she's just immediately gone into bodyguard mode, being like, yes, this is kind of a toddler and probably isn't that dangerous, but this is also an angel in a toddler. And this is this is a real creature. This is not a lie creature in the body of a toddler. This is something that has magic and is highly dangerous. So Clara has just stepped into bodyguard mode immediately.
Interesting.
And is on the defensive and is ready to fight again.
Okay.
Yep.
This, now, to time out, this is a inhuman creature in the body of a synthetic child. This is not a real child. So,
okay.
I mean, both,
yes.
just to be clear, this is a terrible thing driving a tiny meat suit.
Yeah.
Orange Blossom, who seems to rapidly be becoming an inadvertent, somewhat leader of the Azadeva, at least today, starts to go towards Baby Malice in a very like I'm going to soothe you sort of way, very low threat profile, very gentle. Clara, as you start doing your kinetic math, you definitely have a strong feeling that at least David is doing the same thing behind you.
Yep.
And all three of you hear Sophia swear. You don't know the word, but there's every single swear, like every single language has a word that sounds like fuck.
Yes. Yep.
And there is, so what is happening, the things that are happening around you, because I don't want to take the scene over by describing what not Van Horsts do. So what is happening is that Orange Blossom is stepping forward, trying to do something soothing. Sophia is kind of trapped in a probably complicated web of instinctual responses. Clara is taking the front, getting ready to do anything necessary to protect her siblings. Are the other
just
two
defensive?
Understood. Are the other two doing something in the moment?
Bethany wants to try. It is literally a try.
Okay.
I will roll dice about it. Bethany wants to slip around Clara and scoop up Malice, like an actual, like you would a toddler, tiny meat suit body. Like she just wants to go pick up the kid and hold him, because her response to all of this is, "Do you remember how many times you killed us? It was lots of times. We just killed you once."
I think that that's a great thing to try. I am going to look at you two and say, do you want this to go to dice, or do you want to freely negotiate the moment?
Well, I was also going to be doing something at the same time that may make that easier.
Okay.
Mea culpa, please add in.
Yep.
Because Matthew's going to let technically baby Malleus's innate divine nature shine through, the one that he ate, and soothe him with his own power.
So you want to roll divine in this moment.
The divine that I got by literally eating his soul. Like what, and basically have that, and then have that lead into Bethany's statements of how many times did us, we only killed you once, and basically have that like aspect of like what we are is entwined.
For sure.
You'd only be hurting yourself.
Okay. Are all the players okay with that kind of sequence of events?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us begin the cascade of clusterfuck. Elon, if you could roll your dice plus soul.
Let's go.
Let's see what the randomizers have to say. Let me fix my camera so that my head is in the right spot.
So that is 16.
Oh, good. I did not want to have to deal with a 9 or under on this roll.
Yeah, I was concerned. But yeah, I rolled a 13, and then my soul is 3, so that should be a 16.
Good.
Yeah.
The creature mistakes you for a god. I think we're gonna nudge that a little bit.
Yeah, we can squiddle that.
Yeah, the creature is overwhelmed by your matching divinity.
Yeah.
You get 3 options. You can soothe an aggressive creature, and command the creature, and force it to obey your order.
And it states it's usable at any time during the scene. So the first one that he's doing, he's just soothing it. Like he does, like his goal isn't to at the moment be like, and now you must do things. Like I'll keep those 2 like commands or soothings in my back pocket, but his goal right now is just soothing.
Okay. And I think that at least from my side, that eliminates the need for a roll from Bethany.
Sure.
But does Clara let her sister
do that?
Yeah.
Or...
Yes, mainly because she won't attack her sister. So she's not going to lay a aggressive hand on Bethany. So if she really wants to do that, Clara will move forward and be clearly ready to intervene, but won't put a hand that is like stopping her sister from doing what she wants to do. She's here for defensive, not offensive. So she's not going to take any offensive action against her sister. So, yeah, Bethany can go do that. Clara does not look happy about it, but it's not stop her.
Okay, understood. Appreciated.
Like literally scoop a toddler on her hip, do a bounce, talk to him.
Oh, yep. Is watching and is like ready to violently peel that toddler off your hip if that toddler attacks.
100%. But that's the vibe.
The juxtaposition of like, you only killed us. You killed us a bunch and we only killed you once. We still owe you like a lot. It's great.
Come on.
So let me give you now some responses from the environment. So when Matthew shines his divinity, if one imagines Matthew like the furnace of a steel mill, a engine of relentless progress, an edifice that grinds up men and material and builds the future. You could say inaccurately that the power that comes forth out of his enlightened soul is the piece of an angel that he shredded and ate in compensation for something similar happening in reverse. But I think that a better description is that those mangled pieces of angel are the coke, the ore, and the limestone that Matthew feeds into his furnace and produces metropolitan steel. So less the glorious golden light and more a cold, iridescent, polished shine. That overwhelms this fragmentary angel and does not drop them to their knees, anything like that, but clearly cows them on a fundamental level. Does that sound like it appropriate? Does that feel good? Okay, good.
Yeah.
And after that kind of it's the thing that keeps popping into mind, despite it not being entirely correct, is when Gandalf throws off his cloak in Theoden King's it's like that scene, but if everyone was terrible. And so they are awestruck in a way that feels uncomfortable. And for just a brief minute, just because I want to make things a little bit worse and I want to do a little bit of foreshadowing for some things I have planned. Matthew, for just a brief minute, this creature looks at you with that same boundless trust that your own son has looked at you with, and you imagine your new child will as well.
This is normal. This is fine.
fine.
We'll process during downtime. And so Bethany swoops and does the auntie toddler on the hip thing. And so when you swoop in and clutch this child to your hip, can you refresh us on what you wanted to say?
Oh, Bethany said, but you killed us lots of times. We only killed you once.
And like this small creature reaches up very gently and like tries to touch your face. Like it's not even dangerous. It's just like it's creepy. It's unsettling.
Yeah.
And like time out, because I'm starting to get some inspiration now because you guys are so much fun to play with. I want to ask a question. Matthew, did Bethany ever hold your son? Or is this the first time you have ever seen her with a child on her hip?
I would say that she probably has done it like at least once or twice. Because there were times where we would have gatherings at the house and where Matthew's now ex-wife and his son would come there to like be at these like fancy gatherings, and in some of Bethany's better times she was allowed to do this when she was in one of her worst states. And so like it's one of those things of like it's definitely a familiar sight even though it's been a while.
Yeah. Okay. And so this thing reaches up and touches your face and says, and like its face, its lips, the shape of its jaw, the shape of its skull, the way its hair is, this is like Sistine Chapel cherub pretty. Like it's that pick your ancient master of painting. And he touches Bethany's face and says, all I wanted to do was make the Archon happy. And then all I wanted to do was bring him back. I miss him.
I understand. But we can't find him. So we're just going to make the place he made as good as he wanted to or better. We're going to make Metropolis right.
And its perfect little lip sticks out. Yes, I'm using it and other languages because I want to really reinforce that this is not a child. It's a thing that looks like a child. And it sticks its lip out in that like perfect little sad little and says, but you won't make it better. You'll make it worse like it was in the beginning. We made it better.
Little Malice, why do you think we haven't learned from your lessons? I didn't say we'd make it like it was in the beginning. I said we'd make it better. That's different.
But you don't know how. You're human. Only... And something flashes over Malice's face. It is like a name that it can't say. Like a dead air moment. I refer you back to the last episode of the Red Intermission, where a name that cannot be said in the moment is said. It says, knows how to make it better.
But you don't have him, and you have us.
At this point, Bethany, his little eyes are starting to well up with big Miyazaki movie tears, and it is, but it is rage crying. It is a fully developed thinking creature's rage manifesting through the filter of a child's body. So it starts off maybe kind of cute, and maybe there's a little like caretaker's twinge, but shortly after that, it gets wrong, and the thing inside this body makes itself a little bit more known as it just wails in absolute fury at the
Bethany,
idea that any of you think that you can do this.
That's okay, but Bethany wraps him tighter, like thunder shirting an animal, like compression, like the moment when you need to have this rage feeling, and that's okay. And the only thing that's going to help you in it is tight pressure. Letting you go isn't going to help. I'm not letting you go out of this.
Okay.
You don't have to think it right, but I do. But you're tiny right now, and I can. So yeah, just she will take whatever beating at her body happens to keep this child held tight in a compression sense.
Okay. Heard, understood, fantastic. Erica, it looks like Clara's been going on a face journey.
She is. Like, she sees this and sees this angel in a toddler's body, like, kicking, and unless he goes limp, unless he, like, leans into but if he is fighting back, or it is fighting back, Clara's like, my sister shouldn't be physically beaten by this child. And Clara understands what is happening and is having mom feelings as somebody who's like halfway through a pregnancy right now and is not interfering, but is going on a face journey, is very unhappy. And if it looks like if Malice has a knife hidden somewhere or pulls out bullshit powers or something, the moment it looks like he is going to eviscerate or draw blood on Bethany, even if it looks like he is going to bite into her neck or shoulder or anything, Claire is going to interfere.
Right.
But otherwise, she is sitting there. She is like hovering, like this protective, angry, not a physical angel, because there is one right there, but like guardian angel on the edge of both of her siblings, waiting for the moment where actual violence might start, but she is not willing to start it. She's just sitting here having feelings.
Okay. I can say that for now, that unless something dramatically interesting happens, that this tantrum is a child's tantrum. So it's a little bit of tiny little fists and some tiny little feet, and maybe even like headbutting a shoulder, but it's all ineffective and ineffectual.
That's why she hasn't violently interfered yet. She's a full-grown adult. She's not going to use the strength she has on a child's body. She's just going to stand there and have feelings about it.
Matthew will
and be quiet.
Take out a handkerchief, and he will take off his gloves, and he will use his left hand to wipe away baby Mal's tears and say, I think that you have to understand that there are things about us that you've been mistaken on before. And you have to believe that we are not like the humans you have dealt with before us.
Malice seems to like, there's a few moments of time that passes. The one thing that I do want to add to Matthew's sense is that somewhere inside and behind you, Matthew, there's a sense of something constricting.
I'm sure that not everybody else is loving this.
of something coming under pressure. And it is not a worded thought, but from the spot, like back into the left, where David's connection to you is, the nonverbal version of just say the word.
Mm-hmm.
And a infinite array of potential violence sits behind a mental gate waiting for you to pick from it, the same way Bethany selected a sharp object from the chandelier of murder in her dreamscape.
It's like, not yet. Not yet.
Fine.
Everything's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Malice, it seems what's interesting, and I think the revelation that you guys get in this moment, is that Malice's emotional stability is directly related to how much angel he is versus how much his biology is involved in the way he's responding.
Mm-hmm.
So he started relatively calm and clearly had a high grasp of his own memories. But now as he got emotional, it seems that the body he has been placed in is starting to kind of usurp his thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Because this started off as transcendent rage, the kind that like there should be like lightning and thunder behind and like really good heavy like orchestral music, the horns are being, the whole thing. But it has since like dwindled down to just a uncanny valley, that word, of a child having a tantrum. There's something about it that's wrong. Like the way Malice screams seems like the way someone screams when they have only ever been to screaming school. That it almost probably strikes, if I can posit this, it almost strikes Clara as like a bad actress.
Yeah.
Who's trying their best, but like, it's like it's an Ed Wood movie.
Isn't quite getting there. Yep.
Isn't quite getting there. Yeah, like their heart's in it, but their ability to manifest.
Yeah.
That is not very yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Orange Blossom is clearly beside themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now an interesting thing, like what's the line, is I'll give you this one for free, is that it seems that this is not the first time that Malice has done something weird. Because Orange Blossom was like had a process that they were beginning to enact. Like they weren't like, oh no, I'm so confused and weirded out. They're like, oh shit.
Okay.
Not like, in this case, not like an abuse survivor, but like someone who's like, well, got to deal with this now. So, but they're kind of hovering, and you can kind of see a little scintillating silver cloud around them as their Azadeva just does what it naturally does, which is an attempt to produce soothing hallucinogenic mists. So it's like there's an amount of that around it, but not enough to overwhelm the scene, but it is definitely there, which is probably a stress response. And so Malice slowly settles for a little bit and kind of snots and hiccups and It's not fair. It just says through a very pouty, snotty face.
Mm-hmm. Bethany pats his curls and goes, "It's not fair. It's not."
We put all the work into hunting you down and chopping you to pieces and trapping you inside those bodies and making a whole new world for you to live. And here we are, and I'm trapped in this stupid illusion with you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go home.
So do we.
But it's not your home. This is your home.
No, you said you chopped us into pieces and made this for us, but that doesn't make it our home. That makes it where you put us. You put us here, and we put you here with us.
You're going to make everything terrible again.
You don't know that. We could be different.
Clara, just because I want to give give Clara a moment here.
Yes.
Clara, can you roll? Catch what this sumbitch just did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What?
I'm looking right now. I know that was not
That's
clear.
fine.
Then I'm going to turn off that light in just a second. How about read a person?
All right. Is that off of intuition?
Is that what it's plus? I don't know.
Read a person. That is off
Plus intuition.
Intuition, yeah.
Yep.
10.
10 total?
Yeah, 10 total. So I think I'm one short of like a nice thing.
No, you can ask one question.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
you just made it into the not terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
In circumstances like this, the question can be, what did you want to tell me, Ben?
Yeah. What where are we going with this? That's my question.
Clara, you catch it. You catch the villain moment. It's really subtle.
Yeah.
It's really, really subtle. And you are standing in the right place. You're the right person. You know body language. You know all of this. This is your thing. And you are hyper vigilant, directed at the thing. And you notice the moment where this fucking angel comes up with a plan. Right there in your sister's arms. Kazdafiel, the angel of the Royal Phoenix Society, just had a fucking idea.
Okay, the moment Clara sees that, she seizes forward and she grabs its chin. She does that awful thing that like gently abusive parents do, where it's like, no, you look at me now.
Yeah,
like she does that awful thing, grabs its chin and makes it look at her and goes, no, what did you just think of? And if it reaches for her sister, if it does it, she's like, no, you're looking at me, and I'm the worst of them.
It is trying very hard to be a 5-year-old child.
Yeah.
And
Matthew, every time it like whines or does whatever, she tightens that grip. She's like, no. I see what you are. Stop. Look at me. She's got like a growl behind her voice. This is Mama Bear. This is Mama Bear.
Yes. Matthew, you could compel baby Malice, or you could leave it to Clara. Up to you.
I'm first seeing whether or not it will respond to Clara.
How about let's roll one more time. Clara, what do you think you'd want to roll? Do you have an advantage that would affect this, or do you just want to roll influence
or violence? It's a mix of charisma and violence, and her charisma is 3, her violence is 2. So I'll roll the lesser one.
Let's roll the lesser one, but influence other will generally be our guide.
That's a good roll, though. So that's, well, it's only 13, but it's still, yeah.
Okay. I think, okay. It's not the one where they demand compensation. One of those two other later problems will happen.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not the perfect roll, but...
No. But imperfect is where good stories live.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be the thing that kind of like occupies Clara's mind for a little bit, and it can bug you as much as you want it to. This is the moment where you're not certain how many layers of I know, you know, iocane powder sort of stuff is going on.
Yeah.
Because it gives you this big, wide-eyed, scared stare. Once again, Uncanny Valley. It's a immortal creature that was never a child impersonating a child poorly. And says, I was just thinking. No, it doesn't clutch its pearls. Actually, what I'm gonna, if I can say this, it actually clings with its hands to Bethany. For that good body manipulation, like, so it's, you've got its, you know,
He does a little bounce, which feels like it's supportive, but also actually just holds it tighter.
and says, I was just thinking that Metropolis is so dangerous, and maybe what I should do is help you get there.
So we could die.
Why don't you tell us what you actually want to happen? And that I am compelling.
I want to do something fun with this moment to plant a really great roleplay seed for later. So can I get a little fast and loose with it? Okay. You manifest that power. Divine pours out of you. And two things happen at once. One of them is that Malice's eyes sheen over Metropolitan Silver, overwhelmed by your divine power. And it says, I want you to go back to Metropolis and succeed, because the only thing that will bring the back is the same thing that brought it the first time: humans ruining everything. The thing that happens behind you is David says, serve you forever and never die.
Matthew, because he is very good at like conceal, don't feel, is like,
yes,
I'm gonna keep focused on this child and not have an immediate response to externally. Internally, he just, because Matthew's terrible, just saves like this wave of like possessive approval at David through their bond. Let's reinforce that. Sure.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is good. This is
healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
Somewhere, Sophia.
Yes. Sophia aging visibly, like the Wicked Witch of the West in the last 10 minutes of the movie. So now with that revelation, staring at you with eyes like uncataracting from your brother's divine, overwhelming power, Clara.
Then you will help us get back there, and we will earn our place. because we are not actually of this place. We are meant to be rulers of Metropolis, and we will do it right. But you will help us. And if you don't, we'll destroy you again. And she like slightly tightens her hand on its chin. Do you understand? Do you?
Yes.
Does she believe that?
I think it's fair enough that in this moment it's agreeing.
Yep. She lets go and she like pets its hair once and then just gives it back to Bethany.
And when Clara gives it back to Bethany, she's going to do a shift from like low on the hip to like up onto her leg, so that her mouth is by its ear, but like so up higher on her like chest. And she's going to stroke his hair and whisper in its ear, "We've been there without you. Lots." And just pet his hair.
It seems to be in shock because it was not expecting to be overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely got that like, oh no. I thought I was in charge and I was not. And I do not have a backup plan for being the smallest light in the room.
Mm-hmm.
There is a small church in the middle of a graveyard. Deep in the woods. Behind your estate. It is there that his father first taught your father magic. And there are secrets there that cannot be taught anywhere else.
Matthew is going to take a look really quickly while, like, everything's going on around the room, just get an assessment of just, so we're having some intense times with baby Mal that these people have been taking care of the best they can. How is everyone else reacting to all of this?
I don't want to, the unnamed small gaggle of Azadeva have mostly fled into the house. Like this is conflict that they can avoid, therefore will avoid. You see some alien eyes looking out like from behind the curtains, and you could probably thought you heard the sound of feet running upstairs or the door slamming. Orange Blossom is just frozen in a complicated mess of feelings. In that kind of, they don't have a human face, so their the information they're transmitting isn't as easily read, but there's a sense of having to reassess, but not the Van Horsts, but of malice. Or that kind of like, it's very much kind of like hands are up underneath its chin, kind of in a protective, diminishing posture, and it's thinking, deep in wide black-eyed contemplation. Sophia is also in contemplation, but in much more of a troubleshooting kind of mode.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, everybody. In kind of a
Mm-hmm.
troubleshooting sort of mode where you can see that this has changed the way Sophia is considering some things, and now she's doing that mental math of like, all right, time to let the new information in, time to write a new time to write a new algorithm and do the math and see what answer I get. You all know that Sophia is a quick thinker, but a meticulous thinker. And so this is the slow, steady pursuit, predator, plan-making, troubleshooting Sophia. Mm-hmm. Which also means that you guys have a brief window of time to do almost anything you want without her interference, one way or the other. Mm-hmm. Because, she is doing a lot of mental math. And David is standing perfectly still, attempting to somehow self-ignite in shame and embarrassment. So, so that's what the other people in the scene are doing.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time monologuing last game, and I'm devoutly not like cinematicing some of these. So,
no, that's fine.
No, it's good. Unless one of the siblings removes Malice from her arms, Bethany is legitimately like with a mix of seeming affection and approval. She is like holding this child and petting his head in the like, no, you gave us information that you wanted, and no, you did, like, you don't have to like us. Like, there's a very much like, this is very weird from Bethany in the like, because Bethany has been so infantilized for so much of her life. She has not spent a lot of time being the adult. And that thing where an adult is like, you are a child and you can have all the child emotions that you need right now on my body or at me, and that's fine. And I'm still going to like love you and approve of you because I put you in this state situation is the full complication of Bethany right now is, again, yes, Bethany has like on the few occasions that she's been allowed, like played with her nephew, who she doesn't see anymore. And she definitely made him presents though, even when she couldn't. And like, but I don't think either of her siblings have ever seen Bethany be maternal and like affectionate and in charge at a child ever before.
Yeah.
And currently doing that to the scary angel baby.
If there was ever going to be a child that she was going to be doing that to, it was probably going to be a scary angel baby.
That's all we probably going to be a scary angel baby. But in the way where like it's in one way comforting and one way utterly dismissive, in the way that an adult is like, your feelings are very big right now, and I understand you've never had feelings this big before in this small body. That's fine. You can have as big feelings as you need to at me. That's fine. You'll understand later that these feelings are not that big.
That they matter nothing.
Yeah. Them, but right now, these feelings are very huge for you. And so I am at once condescending because I'm outside of your state, but also entirely sympathetic with your state. And also, yes, you're very angry at us. And yes, we did kill you and put you in this body. And yes, you hate this. And yes, you want to be in Metropolis. And yes, you want us to be there because you think we're going to fuck everything up. But you're also a baby and you don't know that we're going to fuck everything up. And we could all be correct, but you're still going to help us. And that's very good of you. You're a good boy.
The beginning of that sounded like my therapist and then rapidly stopped sounding like my therapist.
Yes, well, because Bethany's not a good person.
Yes. Oh, that's so terrible. I love it.
We continue to be the villains of this story.
Y'all are the villains of the fucking world. You're just,
yes, we are.
Photogenic. You're narratively photogenic.
Yeah.
So, and just photogenic, period. So, Yeah.
Yeah. So unless someone wrests the child out of her arms, Bethany is not saying anything, but is doing a soothing in a both maternal but condescending, but in an I understand your feelings are so big way.
Okay. After a small period of time, it seems that Malice has settled down.
Mm-hmm.
And looks over at Orange Blossom and does and gives them uppies, grabby hands.
Yeah.
So do you stop Orange Blossom from?
No, it's a confirmation with Orange Blossom that she wants uppies from baby. And if she loses her hands out, we will transfer child over.
As soon as Orange Blossom grabs Malice, this cloud of soporific mist just oozes from all of the orifices, vents on their body, and says, something soothing, come on, let's go have ourselves a glass of milk. You always like the taste of milk, or something very, let's go handle this.
Yeah.
And so it's just the three of you and functionally Sophia. David doesn't have a lot to add to the conversation, so
David's like, the only thing he wants right now is for the floor to open up. But
yes,
suck him down.
So yeah, just man, I really wish I could get nuked again right now. That'd be pretty cool.
What did you all get from that? We know that we need to go back to Metropolis, but it is still complicated.
Go home. We should go to the graveyard.
We should go home. We need to know more.
We need to know what they taught Papa.
We do. We should go home.
Because Malice will take us to Metropolis, but he does not want us to succeed.
No, he wants us to go there so we will be destroyed by it.
He wants our failure to call his master.
We need every advantage that we can get, frankly.
Then home first. I'm the only one that has direct business going here right now. I can talk to the director and the head girl and be gone for a week, maybe 2. It's fine. We can go home.
This isn't the first time in the history of Las Vegas and theater that the diva in charge has thrown things in chaos by suddenly traveling.
Oh, disappearing for a week? Yeah. 10 days?
Long tradition of fucking everything up by disappearing. You're fine.
Yeah.
As long as it works out. I've been needing to look into things at home anyway, so it's a good plan for us all.
Then let us wrap up things here. Say our goodbyes. Sophia, if you want to come, you know that you are welcome. You probably don't, but the offer is there.
Sophia does the I'm gonna say no, but thank you kind of nonverbal, half head, half head shake, half nod. It's clear that her feelings on the last few minutes are extremely complex, and she's probably not done feeling them out yet.
You know how to find us now.
I do.
And we know how to find you.
You do.
We won't abuse it.
I know. Sophia stares into the house the way a farmer would stare at an approaching cloud bank.
Says, I know.
if possible, during the exit or whatever, Bethany wants like a quiet moment with Sophia, Sam's siblings. Yeah. Which is like if other people comes first, but if we're like on the exit, Bethany like wants to pause and like put her hand on Sophia's forearm and say, he may not deserve kindness, but I should like him to have it all the same.
Sophia looks at you for a very, very long time, Bethany. A complicated blankness on her face. And it's clear that there are a lot of very angry, hurtful things she could say right now. And in many ways has every right to.
Oh, 100%.
You watch your mother figure run her mental fingers over a table full of verbal knives and discard each one in turn before sighing heavily, you know, her well-muscled broad shoulders slumping, and says, isn't that the same for all of us?
Yes, it is. Just why I said it.
I haven't felt anything like what Matthew did in a very long time. I wouldn't be upset if I never felt it again.
He doesn't do it often. He tries not to do it here. It's more often there.
I'm not mad. It's just an old scar that's stretched. Okay. Well, I like the idea of Sophia having a brief conversation with all three of you privately.
Yeah.
As kind of the ending to this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up, Bethany, she says, I knew you were different whenever he brought you home. Because he brought you home like you were one of the books that he found. That's not the way things stayed. Be safe. And if you can't be safe, be thorough. And she reaches out, and you can almost feel through the lie the thick, flesh-tearing claws on Momster's fingers, and she kind of cups your face and brings you in and kisses your forehead. And says, don't forget that you should have some kindness, too. I love you. Be safe.
Love you.
It's fine. Clara, as goodbyes are said, Sophia catches you privately in a moment. And she gives you a kind of a crooked, almost rueful grin and says, I have to admit I was not ready to see you so willing to do violence.
I never want to do it, but I'm the oldest. I'm their big sister. David's here, and I know that he'll do it, so I don't have to. He wants to, but I'll do it for them too. And I'll do it for the next generation. And it's my job.
Sophia reaches behind her and pulls out a folding knife. It's just big enough to fit folded well in your palm. It's not small, but it's not, it's not cinematically large. It's a functional sized, keep it in your purse or tuck it into a pocket folding knife. And she says, the first time I had to do violence on behalf of your father, I was very messy. Someone was asking too many questions and they needed to go away, and they thought that they could swear at me and threaten me enough for the woman to leave. And when I didn't, they thought that hurting me would work. And it was messy, and Malice, the elder, had to do a lot of scrambling to clean that up. And at the end of it, he was disappointed in himself and in me, because the fact that it got that kind of messy was not just a failure on my part, but it was a failure on his part to properly instruct me, let me say.
Understood. Yeah.
And so he gave me that knife and said that the next time I needed to kill someone to just use it instead of my claws and teeth. And I did. And that's the knife that your father used to draw his own blood to start breaking the society's magic on the house. And now it's yours.
You're certain?
I am always certain.
I'll treat it well.
Let it be the thing that is a tool. Don't do it to yourself.
I don't. I promise.
Okay. And as we've talked about several times now, Sophia's ability to show affection was severely truncated over your childhood. And so, and the way and the reasons that she felt affection were complicated and not entirely of her own free will, but as she has said, I'm no longer bound to love you, but I do so anyway. And so when she reaches up and puts her fingers like this on Clara's cheeks and then runs them up and behind her ears and puts her hair behind her ears.
Yeah.
It is a gesture that has been felt 10,000 times and says 10,000 things.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I love you.
I love you too. Yeah, and Claire like turns her head and kisses her hand, and then turns and like goes away because Claire is still the eldest and still has to keep her shit together and is the one that will do mass amounts of violence and awful things, but knows.
Yeah.
Kisses her and walks away before she can say anything else.
Matthew, let's say that the goodbying has taken like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to calm down and all of the Azadeh, like, everybody wants to do the like crisis is over thing. So there's like the too loud, too excitable, the slightly extra raucous, like, look, everything is fine sort of behavior. And, you know, another round of coffee and tea is brewed, and, you know, there's y'all know it. The everything is normal. We are all going to be okay now. Look at us in the kitchen being okay. Everything is fine. And so there's a bit of that, and then some good, you know, where are my shoes? You know, I need to use the bathroom. How about I do this? You know, just all of those things that happen as people leave, and the Azadeva kind of give you guys like gifts, the like little things, like, you know, like a book or stuff like that. And so in this chaos, you have not really had a chance to be by yourself with Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
But now towards the end, as kind of everyone has inadvertently bundled out of the house towards the car, you two are alone in the main room of this old farmhouse. And she says, I didn't realize you had that kind of power in you.
I took it back when we fought him.
It means more to me now that you don't use it on me.
The thought of doing so would turn my stomach. I could never do that to you, Sophia.
I know. I know. But it looks familiar and it feels familiar. And not being scared of the person with that power is not familiar.
And are you not scared?
No, I'm not scared.
I'm glad to hear it.
Me too.
Will you all be safe here? And he kind of like looks up to like where Baby Mouse's room is.
We'll be fine.
Thank you.
Not the first little outburst of memory he's had, and not the last. And you're welcome. I want you to promise me something, Matthew.
What?
I want you to promise to never become someone that scares me. I believe you.
it's clear there's that moment of like, man, if I wasn't emotionally constipated, I would ask for a hug. And instead, he just like takes her hand in his hands and squeezes it.
And your sisters heard this sound, but it's that laugh that could have been a cry sound. And she says, "Come here, you asshole."
Oh, my heart.
Yeah.
Wrangles you into a very big hug.
He hugs her back like the lifeline that she is, frankly. He's 12 again.
Yeah.
He hugs her like when he hugged her legs.
Yeah.
And he holds it maybe a little too long, but it's that sort of thing of like, how rare is it to have that platonic comfort that isn't coming from, frankly, just the only other person that he ever gets platonic comfort from is Bethany.
Yeah.
Everything else is either romantic, where of course, especially in this time in toxic masculinity, is the everything falls on your romantic partner to be literally everything for you. But it's very rare that he can have something that is not from either Bethany or Clara. And he hugs her back until she lets go.
Yeah. And she does, into the top of your head, say, "I love you, Matthew Van Horst."
I love you, Sophia. And I'm not just going to make sure that I'm not someone who scares you. I'm going to be someone who you're proud of.
You are already, but you can keep on swinging. And she kind of steps back and like she holds your shoulders, Matthew, in a gesture that's very paternal. It's very much like a father holding his son's shoulders sort of moment. And she looks at you and she says, "You are not your father's echo."
I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that in a box. And when I need it, I'm going to open that box and I'm going to listen to it. So thank you.
Fair enough. All right. Go home.
And he will scoot on out.
Yeah.
Full of feelings.
Yeah. I want to check when something opened. No. Okay. Erica, the O in Oakland opened in 1960. So I was like, oh, like, I wonder if they went to the O's, but they didn't open until the 60s. So.
Yeah. We're a few years off.
Yeah.
It's all right.
So.
Tom's Diner was open on the south side. That's a good old, that has been open since like the 30s or 20s.
Yeah. Same greasy spoon, same grease.
Yep.
Oh, when we were in when my wife and I were in Memphis, we went to the place on Beale Street that cooks all the hamburgers in like the old grease in the giant pan. They were really good. It's a thing.
Yeah.
They're bad for you. I aged 10 years, but it was really good. So the scene as David backs, kind of turns around and leaves and drives the car away, that moment before he 3 points and faces the car away from the farmhouse, is the sight of Sophia with her hands, with her thumbs hooked in the pockets of her pants, and a handful of Azadeva in their various madcap Alice in Wonderland garb. And Sophia is not waving because Sophia has said her goodbyes, but she is looking at you like she is trying to burn you into her mind. And the Azadevas, kind of, they're a lot more vigorous. So there's waving and goodbying, but none of it is quite right, and it's all very disorganized, but it's all very beautiful. And one of them is waving. One of them has clearly seen a movie where a lady waves a handkerchief in a thing, but it's like it's a motley of color. So, and then as the car 3 points and starts to turn away, David looks in the rearview mirror and sees Sophia herd them back in the house. With that kind of like, yes, it was a busy day and now we're all going to calm the hell down and we're going to go to sleep on time, sort of den mother kind of vibe. And there is a moment as David drives away where, in a very, very secret, carefully maintained place in his mind, he daydreams of spoiling the next generation of Van Horsts, just like Sophia did.
My heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Good.
so the Van Horsts go down the road to get on a plane and go home.
Yeah.
Back to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Back to the green. Yeah. Back to the place where all of this started. I have some plans, y'all, and none of them are fun.
Oh.
I think they're going to be very fun for us and not very fun.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. There's going to be some fucking hijinks and some malarkey in your near future. I'm really proud of some of the ideas I've thought of. So,
yeah.
I will say that because of you, then the AO3 tag for Matthew David continues to grow.
Yes.
Whereas this AO3 tag, it's only in my mind, but it's still there.
Okay.
Somewhere there's
that was
a good.
Like, I know that was
broken out into bullets of sweat.
It was a slightly shorter game, but like that was it. That was the good ending. Good. That was the right wrap. Like,
yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah. So
good. Yeah. Oh.
So, how are we doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Yeah. I'm excited to go back to Pittsburgh next time.
Yeah.
So, let's see now. I'm going to look at the calendar, and in 2 weeks, it is July 2nd. So, by hook or by crook,
we're going to pre-film something. We'll figure.
Yeah, there'll probably be a pre-film sort of situation.
Yeah.
But so we'll have some some bang for your holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's it. I want to thank, my fantastic 3 players and friends. This has always been a lovely time. I want to thank the 11th Archon, Curtis, for doing a whole lot of stuff, making things work behind the scenes and doing stuff I can't even describe, let alone replicate. And so I am Ben, the 11th Death Angel. I tell horror stories. And so remember, you are loved. You are important.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. You're worth the work. And so your water, it's hot out there. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
See you then. Bye.